Oh, right, boys and girls, we are live. We're going to be talking about the stock market. We are going to be talking through what's happening after the market's open in about 9 minutes, and we're going to be covering some of the interesting things that have been happening over the last few weeks, as well as talking about some channel related stuff. There's going to be a bunch of different things. Hopefully, we'll cover everything that I wanted to talk about. I've got a few notes over here and on the screen in a few different places. Let me just jump back onto my camera instead of showing you stonks that aren't going anywhere just yet. So we've had a weekend when we didn't really talk much about the markets, which I found interesting for a bit of a change, and we have some news, something more interesting than others. But let's quickly cover where we're at. Let's quickly cover where we're at in the stock market. Um, the last few weeks have been absolutely nuts, right? So we are roughly, I think, in a sort of upward trajectory as we have on the tech stocks. Again, most of what I'm going to be talking about is going to be from a position of somebody who is heavily invested in tech stocks. I have a hugely unweighted, really bad portfolio that doesn't really have as much diversification as maybe some people would like in it, but that's just my personal preference in terms of high growth, high risk agenda, and you may not want to be following this at all. In fact, this is a really great lesson in why you shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. But over the last few weeks, we've seen a big sell-off in tech stocks, followed by a recovery starting on Tuesday last week, where suddenly stocks began going up. Although we had a really weird kind of shape of intraday trading, and although I don't really care because I don't actually really try to make use of that, I don't do any day trading, I don't try to jump on things going one way or another and try to make margin or anything like that. It's still quite interesting because we saw a lot of activity sort of outside market hours, and we saw big jumps every single morning on open, and then those drops went and fell back through the day, and then we saw the next following day and the following day. Overall, still kind of going up, although it kind of looked a little bit more promising kind of early on in the week than it ended up on. So Tesla is still sitting at sort of like order of magnitude 700 territory, just below at close, and pre-market. What's happening in pre-market? I don't. When I was checking earlier, Tesla was still down in pre-market, and as I'm looking at it right now, okay, they're marginally up, 0.06% up, so pretty much bang on where we left it. So it'd be interesting because we're not seeing that big jump. Like the last few days, it was jumping 5% or even 10% on some days, and then it was moving from there. But we're hopefully going to be seeing a lot more. A lot more actual action from a sort of a steady start, which I think might be interesting. But another interesting one to keep an eye on is Apple, because they've been behaving sort of really weirdly in an opposite way to maybe the way that most people would be thinking that stock should be fluctuating. American Airlines moving pre-market. Collins saying, yeah, I've noticed there's a lot. So I don't have a particularly good screen here to show you, but let me just show you this one. And I've noticed when I was looking this morning, a lot of travel has suddenly begun going up. I think people are far more positive on the outlook now in terms of, like the vaccination program in the UK, in the US, it's accelerating to some degree. And I think people are optimistic that the companies that have made it this far, the companies that survived, especially with, UK extending support for UK companies, US providing additional resources and reassurances to the travel industry. I think if you look, there's JetBlue over here that's doing well, TripAdvisor down. I think it's interesting. MGM Resorts, the travel industry seems to be getting a big boost. Hey Kirk, happy Monday morning. Is it morning? It's afternoon. I've already been to London today and back. Long story. I'm not going to get into it. It feels like a long day already. I don't live anywhere near London. Just in case anyone wonders. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the travel industry. And hello to everyone else joining. Be interesting to see what happens. Virgin Galactic, I wouldn't necessarily say Virgin Galactic is a travel industry company just yet. I mean, I kind of get the liaison, but I'm not quite sure I would classify them in the same category as TripAdvisor at this stage. But maybe they're going to democratize space travel for the world. We shall see. So it'd be quite interesting to see what happens at open with the travel. So we're going to be looking at them, although I don't really have anything invested in travel because precisely I have really limited outlook on exactly how the industry is going to be recovering through this year and through next year. I'm aware that the companies have taken on board incredible amounts of debt, which is not all going to be shown on balance sheets just because there's there's going to be a lot of intangibles and a lot of like money that is not going to be. So like the people who have paid in previous quarters in the run up to when things were halted and didn't necessarily get refunds, but then that's sort of like a debt that is not going to be shown necessarily in all the numbers, and so it's very difficult to ascertain with some of these what the real position that the company is in, from my view. And also, I don't know if you remember, like in July, August last year, we were in this position where the travel industry looked like everything was going back. Like in August, everyone was so optimistic. I was really optimistic. I think I even made a video saying like I was very optimistic. But it was looking like maybe we're done. Like the whole thing is over. The autumn's going to come, and we're all going to be having our late summer holidays, and then we're going to be going off for Christmas, and it's all going to be go through 2021. And I'm just a little bit wary because we've been in a very similar position before, and it didn't quite play out that way. Now I know the situation is different because there's vaccines, blah blah, all this stuff. Like I do get that, but the last 12 months show that nothing is certain. I have no idea how this is going to play out. So for now, I'm sort of staying out just because I can't predict that stuff in any way. Other people probably are better than me at hedging stuff and placing bets, but I just can't tell. But it'll be interesting to watch. And also, most of my stuff is in tech stocks, so we're going to be watching them. I have a little bit that I wanted to go invest just to complete my ISA. So on my ISA account, I have maxed it. Now I have 12p remaining. You can't deposit pence. And the problem is, well, maybe you can if you do a direct bank transfer that takes a few days. But if you do the faster one, it only lets you deposit in pounds. And unfortunately, the situation I'm in, I'm going to have to leave those 12 pennies go. But we shall see if there is a good shopping to be made, because Tesla is still, like, to me, sub 700 is still a really good price. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Fran's asking, can I upload these as a podcast and listen to them on my commute? I'd love to. Like, I'm trying to find my sweet spot. I'm actually going to be making a video. I've already filmed this video, but I haven't edited it yet. I'm going to be editing and publishing it straight after this live stream. That is going to give you a few updates about the channel, the direction, some interesting announcements in that video. So I'm going to be covering a few things in that, but a podcast is not on that list at the moment because I only have so much time and I have too many projects as it stands, even though it's not a huge number of projects. And I want to make these projects do as well as I possibly can. So I'm going to be focusing considerably more on that. So I am probably going to be not going down new avenues. I'm just going to be focusing on improving the existing ones that I'm working on as much as possible over the next few months. Cook Inspired is asking, you used to be a manager, manage businesses. Are you enjoying YouTube journey? Very much so. It is. I'm going to be talking a little bit about that in this upcoming video, and yeah, it is a completely different thing, but I'm enjoying it a million times better. Just because, especially the last 6 years, I've been a consultant, and as a consultant, that work involves a huge amount of stuff that I really do not like doing, like sales and trying to, make people buy stuff from you, and maybe they don't necessarily want to buy stuff from you, and you have to try to. And like, I know there's an art to it, and some people really enjoy it, but that's just not something that I particularly like doing. So there we go. I'm enjoying it a lot. eToro offers ARK in the UK, and he thought to buy CFD. Like, I have a small amount. Look, I have a tiny amount of ARK. Daniel is asking, not a lot, $50. I think it's one of those where technically it is a CFD. By the way, we're jumping. But let's get to the markets in just a second, see what's happening in the first few minutes. But at the moment, not much. Technically, it is a CFD, but it is a non-leveraged CFD, and there's also no fees associated. Tesla dropping. Look at that big candlestick. Not big, but it's dropping. Interesting in the first minute. But I don't see any real downside from me personally. In buying it. So it is a CFD, and it is important to be aware of the risks associated. And if you invest in CFDs with actual leverage, you can lose a lot of your money. The vast majority of people losing money need to read all the warnings, all that. So I don't want to be promoting that stuff without disclosing those things. But for me, this is a really interesting option with eToro because you can invest in things that you can't really invest in otherwise in the UK without having to pay very much money. So let's look at the list. Let's look at this. So, Tesla, dropping a small amount. It looks big relative to the end over here, but actually, if you look at the scale, it's not a lot, right? It's not a lot. We're only down like $2 or whatever it is. So we're not really jumping very far just yet. AMD opened slightly up. Where is Nvidia? Just while we're on this topic, Nvidia is doing the same as Apple, a couple bucks down. Sorry, as Tesla and Apple is doing that. So up slightly at open, like half a percent or so, and then dropping back down. So very cagey kind of start so far. Nothing crazy like what we've been seeing on some of the most recent days. So that'll be interesting. Some of my other stocks that I hold less in, not doing very much in Nintendo, ignore that. But I'm interested in what's happening with Take-Two. I think they've had a massive sell-off. If you look, they've had a massive sell-off. And I think they are one of those companies, along with Tesla, where I think the sell-off was a lot more than, in my opinion, that perhaps deserved on the stock. I want to buy some more of these guys. I think, like, in the next year, they've got some big stuff coming out. And I think people are forgetting that this is one of those companies where their revenue and their fortunes swing with massive releases. Those massive releases come every few years, and we're like on the edge of one of those. So I don't really see why everyone's so negative on them. But how much have we got? How much have we got of them in the portfolio? Because we need to up it. 1.2 shares. So we might be going a bit heavier on that. I've got later today. Let's see. Let's see if the opening just stays flat or if there's any crashes happening, and then we'll make our moves. And then we'll make our moves. Fiverr is doing the same thing as I think it was AMD or whoever it was earlier. Sort of Apple, sorry, opened a little bit higher, down to sort of roughly the same place. So not seeing any crazy moves of the last few days, which is probably a good thing, right? That's kind of what we want to see. We want to see like nice and steady for a few days to start with. Maybe then we're going to go for a few weeks. Paolo is asking, do I have any ETFs? Yes, not in this portfolio. So I try to kind of use the different portfolios for the strengths they have. I have VUSA as my sort of hedge. I just try to keep it roughly 10% of my overall portfolio. It's probably actually a little bit overrepresented at the moment. Because like of where I've been bothering to spend my time. But yeah, so I have VUSA as my sort of ETF, and the rest I manage more actively, and that's not the strategy for everyone. In fact, most people probably would do far better not doing what I'm doing. But you know, that's just me, and I enjoy stocks and talking about them and looking at them and all of that stuff. So that's a personal preference for me. In this one, I don't have any ETFs. I just have stocks, mostly US stocks. This is my ISA, which I've just maxed. So as it stands, I'm going to be talking a lot more about choosing ISA from a more personal perspective, because I released a few videos about pricing on ISAs recently. We're going to be talking about the 2021, 2022 ISA. And as it stands, it's like a difficult situation because price-wise, Trading 212 is still the best in my opinion for the kind of stuff that I'm interested in. But then there's other questions around where the different platforms are going. But I think for now I'm pretty happy, because for the last couple of weeks we haven't, since the price announcement, it's kind of been flat. So anyway, let's see what's happening with Tesla once again. Oh, we missed this. We missed this big down over here. Look. We're continuing. I think we're heading somewhere south. Are we going to be dropping to the 670, 660 territory again? Because that would be an interesting move. And again, I am betting you there's absolutely nothing happening with the overall S&P 500. And yeah, there's a small drop. Actually, look at the scale here. 0.1, not even 0.1, 0.05. So another good reason for people not to listen to idiots on YouTube like me and just go and invest in an ETF, which is going to outperform active investors 90%, 95% of the time, whatever number you want out of the different studies available. I apologize. I've been talking a lot. I'm not reading what people have been saying in the comments, so I am going to try to catch up as I'm talking. But if I don't see what you've written and I don't answer your question, I'm sorry. But there we go. That's how it's going to be. I talk too much. Saint Sebi saying, I just use ETFs as a bank account to hold free cash to deploy it on crashes. That's an interesting strategy. Although, I guess if the ETF drops itself during a proper crash, doesn't necessarily help. I guess with industry specific crashes, it can be quite useful and quite handy. All right, Tesla. Oh, Tesla rebounded. Tesla rebounded, but again, if you look at the scale, it's not quite what we were seeing in the last few days with just like with the jumps over here. You can see the scale is condensing as I move further back. So that's a good sign of some kind of stability. So yeah, it's an hour earlier today. Some people have noticed how the clocks changed. The clocks have changed over in the US. But in the US, they change 2 weeks before they do in the UK. It's an interesting thing. It means that there's like this overlap when we have 4 hours difference in New York rather than 5. That was one of my favorite times. So I used to live in New York for a little bit, and it meant that my gap was narrower, and it was much nicer to work with the UK. So it's an interesting quirk. Should we buy Tesla now? Is it going to continue going? Is it going to crash? Who knows? How do we time the market? I have no idea. I know I want to buy at some point, but we shall find out. 100 people watching. If you like what Sasha does, please give the video like. Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate people doing some marketing for me. How kind. That's very nice. Nothing happened. Missed market open. People say nothing happened so far. If I'm honest, if we're looking at overall at some of the big companies, look, a bit of toing and froing, but we're kind of like roughly at the same place. So doesn't matter. We just had some adverts basically at the beginning for what's going to be happening, and we're not seeing anything just yet. Let's quit Nintendo. It's not interesting. Fiverr is another one that I have on my list that I'm interested in. So I wonder what's going to be happening with them. They're kind of flat because they haven't recovered as much as I thought that they would be. So in the grand scheme of things, if we're looking sort of okay, maybe not quite that far. Like we're still sitting at a price that I think is really, really good for them. In my opinion, we're talking a price that was last seen over here in January. And if I look at the 1 day view, it's kind of like I think it's pretty good. And the other one that the other one that I mentioned earlier, Take Two. The reason I'm particularly excited is I have some really good stuff in my valuation on these guys. And I just looked this morning. I'm like, these guys are not recovering at all. And I know there's been a few bits of news, but look, it's like a price I could buy in July. So I feel quite good about these guys. So what's happening here? Are they going to be sinking further? I have no idea. But markets are open. Should we buy? Let's buy a couple of shares of these guys while the price is good. Let's see. All right. As you can tell, I'm a really sophisticated investor. I didn't bother with any limits or anything like that. Just give me 2 shares. Give me 2 shares. Right. The rest of the tech world is sitting kind of flat, continuing. AMD bouncing a tiny bit. Oh, that was a bit of a drop here. Oh, I'm looking. Oh man, I need to improve my software because like I keep forgetting. Okay, AMD, yeah. I quite enjoyed buying AMD for sub 80 all through last week. I just kept adding and adding. It's such a good value, but it looks like we're now heading back to something that's a bit more representative of what the actual price should be. Tom is asking, should thought the market's open at 2:30? Yeah, so time in New York's changed. It's important to know these things. That's how these things work. I have 20 quid. Any suggestions? I don't know. Beers and pizza? I don't know. I don't know. Like it's up to you, mate. The investing platforms let you invest in whatever you want. You make your own choices. I make my own. Tesla's going down 687. Oh, look at this. Candlesticks are going red. Maybe I went too early on Take Two as well. What did I buy them at? 169 something. Good. Happy with that price. And Tesla at 686. Is it going to go further south? Because I kind of want to buy some, and I have no idea how you time these things. No matter how much maths I've studied, no matter how much I've worked in the industry, no matter how I've even worked like in trading for a short time, not necessarily this trading, but more energy stuff. But that's a whole separate long story. But still, like, no, when people tell you they know what the candlestick is going to be doing and how things are going to be bouncing through the day, they're full of BS. Don't listen to them. It's not true. That's the funny world we live in. So much flexing, so much stuff. Oh, it's bouncing back up. I think maybe on the next rundown over here, we'll try to buy a couple at 687. Should we just place? How much have we got? I'm so ridiculously overexposed on Tesla that it's ridiculous. Where is Tesla? I've lost it. There it is. There it is. Let's see. I can't buy two. You can't do limits on fractionals. Okay, well, we'll have to just buy at market. I don't have enough for 2 shares, so we're just gonna have to buy market value whenever the right time turns up. The right time now. Should we just buy? I mean, 687 is decent in my book, so I'm just gonna buy a little bit more. Value. Number of shares. 1 second. Let's buy. How much can I buy? 1.8. No, just go ridiculous. 1.8. You can't. Okay. Oh, such an annoying thing. They have this weird thing on Trading 212 where if you're buying in shares, because you're not fixing the amount of pounds you're investing, it limits you to only 95% to account for the fact that prices can fluctuate in between when you place the order and when it actually goes through. So there's a bit of that. Oh, I bought at 688, I think. Yeah. So that means I've got a little bit of money left. 53.51. What should we buy? Fiver. We want to buy some Fiver. Let's go and put 53.51. Fiver. I think that's it. That's me done for this financial year with my ISA. We're all in. So no more money to put into this account. Done. So for let's see. Has anyone got any interesting things to say? By the way, I need a drink of water. I've been drinking espresso all morning because I've been traveling. Back here now. If anyone goes to Memphis, you should go to this place. It's called Gus's world famous fried chicken. Absolutely awesome place. It's the first. They have a few different places, but it's the first one on South Front Street. You should go and check it out. Right, Marcus is asking, in your guesstimate, how long after market crashes, whether it's a big, how long until the market crashes, whether it's a big or a small one? We just had this check correction, but obviously the overall market didn't notice. The truth is, I have no idea, and neither does anybody else. And these things, we could be a few months away, we could be a year, we could be 3 years or 5 years away. Literally nobody knows. And especially, like normally nobody knows, but especially when you're going through a completely unprecedented time like we are right now. These things are impossible to really predict because they're going to affect the natural cycle. According to the natural cycle, we probably should have kind of had one by now. But given the way that things are happening and given the completely unprecedented government response, you know, in terms of printing money, in terms of injections, in terms of crazy expenditure on propping up businesses, I have no idea. So I don't try to time my things for that. I try to invest in industries and companies where I think although their stock price in the short term might jump up and down, I kind of still believe that the underlying value of the company in terms of like what I think the value of their service and products over, you know, the next 5-10 year period discounted is still going to be worth what I think it will be worth. So it's one of those where the short-term fluctuations are often dependent on the hype, dependent on a bunch of other stuff, but I'm not particularly interested in those. And I think in the long, it's one of those, you don't want to invest in companies where hype is the predominant factor for why their stock price is where it is and why their valuation is where it is. Like what happened with the .com, where I know people investing in companies that weren't making any money but didn't have any projections or any good opportunity to be making any money either. I think right now some of these tech stocks are completely not in that position, that they are huge companies delivering actual value propositions. And so I think that is a big difference that because a lot of people say, oh, you know, this is another tech boom, it's going to do the same thing as last time. Like, I think the situation is different. Just saying that everything can be following exactly the same thing. Yeah, Tom is saying Tesla going. I mean, I bought every time I buy Tesla, it goes and crashes. So I'm really sorry to anyone who holds Tesla. I think the last 3 times I bought it, it went down by $20. So I apologize in advance to anyone who does that. Right. Marcus is asking, why don't you invest more in funds and ETFs? So I have a video where I talk about my investing strategy, Marcus. It's called like how to build a kick-ass investment portfolio. I did it 2 months ago or so. Go and check it out. I explain the answer. I hold about 10% in ETFs because probably foolishly, I feel that maybe with having a lot of background in finance in building models. So I've done a lot of mergers and acquisitions work, a lot of valuation of businesses, a lot of valuations of portfolios, like in really big deals, in banks buying portfolios or companies and stuff like that. So I feel like I have a little bit of background that I can utilize for my gain, and also some small amount of tech knowledge in some spaces that I'm trying to combine. And I feel that maybe that would give me more value than just the overall market, but so does everybody else, right? So does every other active investor, and the vast majority of them are wrong. So the likelihood is I'm also going to be wrong, but who knows? I have a view that this is a more beneficial strategy for me in the sort of immediate long term, and maybe as my priorities and views change, that ratio will change as well. But we shall find out. Gawain Pope is asking, where am I from originally? You sound like you almost have a Welsh accent. I've had a lot of people say that I sound South African for some reason, which is an interesting one. I'm originally from Russia, from the Soviet Union. That's where I was born and grew up, and that's where my family's from. So there you go, factoid of the day for anyone who didn't know. I do mention it from time to time, so most people probably are aware. Hey Jack, hey everyone else. I'm sorry if I'm not reading everyone's comments on here, but just for anyone who's joined very recently, I've just gone and bought a bunch of stuff, and I went and spent far too much money on Tesla again, which is exactly the reason why they're dropping now, because I bought at 688, so expect them to go to about $500 or $300 now, because that's what happens every single time I buy Tesla. So I apologize. Hopefully later in the week we're going to see it come back up, because I don't have any more money to spend on them, you see, so I'm all out. So because of that, hopefully we're going to be seeing some bounce. Let's quickly talk about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin went really big, right? Earlier, I think it was Friday, Saturday, it was like breaking $60,000. And what are we on now? Yeah, like not much. We're in 56, so there hasn't been quite as much of a jump here. My 7-day game. I'm not sure I like this gamification thing over here. So when you log into eToro, they do this like, hey, you made some money yesterday. Would you like to deposit some more? But the funny thing is, I've never seen one of those pop-ups say, hey, Thatcher, welcome. You've lost a load of money yesterday. Would you like to make a deposit? It's one of those, gamblers paradigms where they only show you the wins, because that's when you might want to go and put more money into the market. Even though overall, look, I'm down. I'm down $183 because I bought the stuff in a video at exactly the wrong point. Look at this Tesla buy. Horrific. I think that's the highest price it was ever when I was making the video, when I was buying this live. So yeah, anyway, I'm rambling. It's interesting because this is the first day where, despite all these ups and downs, the Tesla's down, but we were at 694, I think, ish at close on Friday, and we're only 688, so it's only like 1% swing, which, in normal times is probably noticeable, but given what's been happening in the last 2 to 3 weeks, that's actually quite stable. It's a crazy thing that I'm saying this in English words, but that's the case. Look, AMD climbing 82. I'm so happy. I've been pumping money into AMD like nothing. Like on these live videos, just kept buying more and more. I mean, like, it's all relative. I don't have a mega portfolio, but 900 quid of AMD. That's pretty good. 15 shares. So I'm quite happy with them. Fiverr is another one I bought, so it's inevitably going to go down today as well, and Take Two the same. So sorry for anyone who holds those shares. Pinterest not doing too great, is it? Look at that. Pinterest is cheap, but I spent all my money. Should have bought some to send it even further down. And some people mentioned in the last live or whenever it was about Etsy, and I kind of said, yeah, I've been looking. It's one of those where I've been looking at them for ages. I have a valuation. I have a lot of stuff, but I just never came to invest. And I bought a share. I have one share at £156 at the moment. So I'm quite happy. I know they're at the peak. I know that they've been doing really well. I've got a little bit of these guys as well. Oh, turn off. It automatically turns off the patterns. I'm not interested. So I am now in with the cool crew who own Etsy. I think I'm actually, across all my portfolios, I think I'm getting to a place where I might own almost as much Tesla shares as a Model 3 costs. I'm not sure which one is the better investment. Hopefully the shares, because I have a bunch of Tesla in my pension. I'm going to be talking about that at some point as well. So my pension's invested in the FREETRADE SIP, and that is an awesome product. It basically allows you to literally invest your pension in actual stocks properly with relatively low fees compared to all the other guys. They have the Forex fee, but it is in my opinion, a really great value. You do need a larger pension because if you're just starting out, that £10 whatever it is, the SIP fee, I think it's £9 a month or £10 a month, whatever it is quite expensive. But once a portfolio is several, maybe 30,000, 40,000 or more as it grows over time, that's a fixed fee rather than percentage based, which is what some of the other ones are. And there's no trade fees other than the foreign exchange fee, which is a one-off thing. So I'm really, really excited about what that thing's gonna be doing. And actually, my distribution of funds in there is very similar to this, and very, very similar to the video that I was talking about earlier, the one where I talk about how to build a kick-ass portfolio. So because I'm relatively young, I'm happy to take the swings at this stage for the growth rates. So I'm not doing what maybe some financial advisors will tell you to do, which may be the right thing for most people again, but I personally am not doing that because I feel that with many decades ahead of me before I approach anything like retirement, I'm happy to be taking growth instead of stability at this stage. So, what do people say in the comments? I keep talking and I keep not really. And Nvidia has a lot of my cash. Yeah, Jack. I had a video, I think like called "These Boring Stocks Are Gonna Go Up" or something like that, where I talk about Nvidia, AMD, and a bunch of the actual semiconductor producers that sit below them, like Qualcomm and a load of different ones. I didn't mention every single one that I'm invested in, but I mentioned a bunch of them. In fact, even in this portfolio, I think I have some of them. I've got Micron in here. I've got Texas Instruments. So yeah, so I'm pretty bullish on where that industry is going, just because I can see the trends and I can see the fact that in the last 6 to 7 months, the demand in the world has jumped to a ridiculous amount, and we haven't even seen the peak of that yet, I think. So we're still early doors. So Nvidia is doing well as well. So this is good news for my boring stocks. So if anyone invested at the same time as me and them, it's probably doing okay, even with the big sell-off. Even with big sell-off, I think the trajectory overall is going to be good in the long run. I'm very, very bullish, but we shall see. If my portfolio is just Palantir and General Electric, then I would be all green. Yeah, I bought 20 quid's worth, I think, or $20 worth of Palantir when they IPO'd for laughs, just because I actually knew some people who worked in the business, and it was sort of like, once I buy them, then I definitely see their performance all the time, kind of thing. Anyway, yeah, it's one of those you wish, but I don't have a good way. Other YouTubers, remember to diversify, Sasha. Yeah, yeah, Jack. As always, don't do what I'm doing. Look at my portfolio. This is an example of what you should not do with investments. Do not do this. This is really bad. Look at this. Look at this. 11.7 out of 20. Like, this is really bad, right? This is so overexposed. But there's a reason why I am doing it, and the reason why maybe most people should not be doing this, because it's probably a really bad idea. And that is, in the recent tech sell-off, so the market has stayed relatively flat. Some companies had a small sell-off, but some went way beyond. And the companies that went way south on the sell-off, I've gone and bought heavy because I didn't see any news or any specifics or any announcements or any releases that those companies were doing that would affect my view on what their valuation should be. In fact, have you guys seen this Tesla semi-drive? Have you seen this? They released this at the weekend. And I haven't seen anyone really discuss this. No. There was one released just very recently. They just published one where it was driving around the track and doing some really cool stuff. Anyway, I'm not going to find it on here, but they have a semi, which is like literally, so a truck that is almost fully autonomous, that they say can pull far more than regular trucks. They have a lot of really obscure, weird, crazy tech where they can like link up on motorways to serve and drag. They have a literal working prototype, which is years ahead of where companies like Nikola, who keep talking about it. So since Nikola started talking about it, and they're still talking about it, Tesla have gone like, let's design it, and they're almost like there. And I think people are underestimating the various different like additional arms of what Tesla's doing. They're going to see their cars business, and they're like, well, it's doing this, let's kind of project it. The energy business, the semi, the expansion into SUVs, which in the US and some other markets is a huge deal because those guys love them. I think people are underestimating that, because However you look at it, the way that most people can build their DCF models is they fundamentally look at performance over the last few years and they go and make some overlays. But ultimately, like performance in Q4 2020, the latest available data, is going to be the major driver of their predictions going forward. But that data does not include any of these things. Like it doesn't show anything on those numbers. So unless you actively bottom up adding them in and saying, okay, well, the growth is not going to be just 12%, but or 20% or whatever people bake in, but it's going to be that plus these additional streams, which are then going to be growing themselves. Then I think people, in my opinion, are missing out, because when I have watched some investor materials, I've read some of the stuff that people publish, including, you know, ARK, the Kathy Wood, like I've read it. And in my opinion, I think then even those are not fully capturing the value, and those guys are super bullish. So there we go. Volkswagen attempt at a battery day has sent lithium supply chain. It's really interesting because Tesla is actively working on developing new battery types that don't use things like cobalt, that use iron, that use other, and I think that is being missed as well. So like these guys are trying to build batteries that not only last longer, work better across temperature ranges, but also make use of a bit more available materials, which is like a revolutionary thing. People are not really caring. So that's why I'm just so bullish on so many different parts of what the business is doing. And when I see a business doing so well across so many different things and winning in all of them, when there's a sell-off and they lose 40% value, like has happened recently, I don't see why you wouldn't be buying. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to crash. We're going to see their price go, as some people in my comments said, back down to their correct value of $40. And I'm going to lose all my money. So we shall see. Thought on commodities. Gareth is asking more specifically gold and silver. So my view on commodities is, to me, like I see myself as an investor, and to me, commodities are something that traders really enjoy, especially people who are looking for fluctuations and stuff. To me, commodities are not a form of necessarily investment. And there are several different reasons for it. Commodities are just traditionally over time a way of transferring value between other asset types. From gold coins or having currencies that are based on the gold standard or whatever. There's kind of I have an asset, call it car. I sell it, I get this thing. Today we use predominantly cash or like equivalents, right? But in the past, people would use commodities, and then I can go and exchange that commodity, like gold or silver, for something else. And people have kind of retained that use of gold and silver, and I think that's. I know there are practical uses. I know there are uses, especially for gold and silver in some of the battery tech even. But there are uses of them in industry. But the predominant kind of like valuation and view on people for pricing these commodities is very much in sort of an exchange of value and stuff like that. Like, so I don't see the fundamental use of gold based on the science that exists and based on the stuff that I currently know going through the roof. Because of like some huge surge in demand, and with businesses, the types of businesses they invest in, I kind of try to identify businesses that I think will be doing that over the coming years. And so I don't do it like I can see it as a way of maybe exiting positions in a bear market and kind of waiting it out and placing it in commodities because they tend to fluctuate the opposite way and then re-entering. But I don't really see it as a long-term investment, not for me anyway. United Airlines, we need to look at we were talking about this at the beginning. We need to look at tourism because tourism is exploding. First, let's open with TripAdvisor. This morning, it's been so many positive. Look at this. They're going up quite a bit. It's like, 4 or 5% up so far in trading for TripAdvisor. There's been a lot of news coming out over the weekend. So like people are very positive on the vaccinations in the UK and US and other countries. So there's a massive boom in the travel industry that everyone seems to be very bullish about today. For some reason, like I kind of feel like the story hasn't changed much, but today that seems to be the story. Look at American Airlines. Look at them go. That is big. That is like 10%, right? More than that. That is big. This is one thing, so I can do this, right? So I can do this and show you stuff, but I just don't anyway. I think the software is almost there, but I just want to see a bit more numbers printed on here that show me movements and me able to. I know I can drag boxes and stuff. If I do this. But it just doesn't work very well. Maybe it's just my computer. Uh, all right. Oh, whatever. All right. Where are we? And I just don't like the fact that you have to do this pointless stuff. And if somebody can tell me a much better way, I haven't figured out. I try to click around. Like normally, if you're using like sort of like traders off whatever, you can just click a thing and you just set start end and then it automatically shows you percentage based things and stuff. But I haven't figured. I don't use. I only use this on live, so I have to learn while talking to you guys, unfortunately. So apologies for that. But yeah, so really, really positive. Look at this. I'm guessing United is up as well. That a lot of pension funds really love. Yes. So we're like, what are we like? 10, almost 10% up, almost 10% up, like very, very strong. So people are really bullish that I think maybe finally we're going to be coming out. But I was saying right at the beginning of this video, when I think most of you weren't watching, there's been a very, very positive uptick in all these. But the thing is, we had exactly the same feelings in the summer last year in sort of July, August time. People thought that that's it. Like people saying, yeah, second wave's not coming. I was kind of hoping that that's the case. But then everything changed. And I know that the situation now is different because of the vaccination program and all that kind of stuff, but I'm still not 100% confident that we're definitely 100% for the travel, as far as the travel industry is concerned, are out of the woods. And that, because the thing is, there's so many countries that are very early or haven't even properly started that program. And I don't know how that's going to impact the virtues of all of these companies going on. So we shall see. What are people saying? No time to talk? I have no idea. Assuming Tesla makes Tesla 2 that is smaller and more affordable to middle class within the next 5 years, they've already made it, Marcus. This is the thing. I think people, they've already made it. The Model 3 has really reasonable pricing. We're talking like same sort of pricing. Okay, in some markets it's a bit more expensive, like in the UK, but still, like you can buy one for roughly the same money as a new Golf. And this is a Model 3, and the Model Y, kind of the same base, if you like, but a slightly different, more hatchbacky version, if you like. This is their main core business now. Look at their sales numbers. I mean, I'm not going to be looking up, but you look at the sales numbers. They're selling way more of those cars than they are. Everyone thinks that Tesla is premium Model S, Model X, etc. And sure, that's where they started, and it was actually a smart move because they occupied a niche that has made them their name and has made them the brand and built it. I think it was a really good entry. But if you look at some of the recent stuff, they are producing like 5 or 6 times more Model 3s already than they are Model S's, Model X's. And this is where the future is. And the beauty of it is, at the moment, the margins are squeezed on those because obviously the total price is low, and some of the fixed components have fixed prices, like battery packs, etc. So even though you're only charging 40,000 or whatever for one of them, rather than 100,000 for order of magnitude talking, the battery pack of a particular size is going to be the same cost-ish to produce, and some of the tech and the screens and the other stuff is going to be the same. So the margins are definitely squeezed on them to a degree, but these new gigafactories they're building, especially the Shanghai production line, especially the new Asia one that's being mooted, and the Berlin one, because Berlin is going to be almost entirely, I think, if not 100% on Model 3, Model Y, just because that's the European market. Europeans want the smaller cars. So I think people are forgetting like that their business model has already changed, and it is going to continue changing in that same direction. So yeah. Oh wow! Look at Tesla go. It's like I feel like a proper good trader because I bought a 6 to 88.23. Look, I bought here. I feel like a day trader now. I feel so proud. Maybe I should sell. Maybe I should sell and then buy on the dip again. No, we're not going to be doing that. We're not going to be doing that. Even though the Forex fees on Trading 212 have not come in yet, that is not what we're going to be doing because I don't believe in that. I know that because the moment I buy, normally Stonks dip, but not today. Today it's the opposite. It just shows that I have no idea what I'm talking about, so don't listen to me. Apple, look at this. Look at this bounce, because I kept saying, I think for the last 2 weeks, I was saying, I don't see why Apple is down and why they're down so much. And every time I was doing a live, I think like if you watch some of them, you will have heard me say, why is Apple down? There's like so much positive news coming out of that place, and it's just like, and they keep falling. More positive news, more falling, and it's the same like tech sell-off. And so I invested a bit more in Apple. I should have invested more, I think, but I was too bullish on Tesla, AMD, and some other ones. So yeah, I probably should have bought more of Apple, but we'll see. Maybe we will buy it in one of our other portfolios. Although I've been climbing under the sofa. I've been trying to find any money that I can. Oh, by the way, is my sound okay? Yeah, my sound is okay. We're all good. I've been trying to climb under the sofa to find any spare money, you know, like sort of looking under my keyboard. It's just, I'm out. I've put everything I can in here. But maybe we'll find some more at some point. Maybe I'll earn a little bit of money from, you know, people watching YouTube ads in front of my videos. That'll be exciting. So this is good. Today's a good open. Look at this. Tesla's up a good like 2% almost. AMD up, Nvidia up, Apple up, Take-Two flat. Take-Two is flat, but I think this one is going to be a long-term one. I think once we see some positive news come out of these guys, so I think I must have like tripled my investment in them today, up to 400. I mean, tripled with a tiny, you know, like I'm not one of those channels where I'm like, let's buy $1 million worth of stocks. Yeah, I'm slightly more at the schmuck end of the investing spectrum. I'm like £30. It's a big investment. Let's put it in. Let's buy it. So anyway, what's happening with some of the travel industry stuff that people were really excited about? Still going up, but sort of like flattening out. So it looks like we're going to be banking this 10% rise in some of these companies, and that's a good thing, because you know the world needs a bit of positivity, and this is sort of positivity squared, you know, in the sort of the stocks and the companies doing well and surviving through this, but also maybe people are actually going to be doing normal people things soon. So that's a very good thing. My two favorite, look at this. I keep talking about Nvidia and AMD, and I'm just so, this is making me happy. When they were sub 80, I was buying, shopping non-stop. EU just launched legal action against the UK. Must have an impact on FTSE. Gareth, well, like there's just so much of that kind of news. I have almost no exposure to the FTSE. In fact, like some of my UK stocks are even AIM, but that's beside the point. But so I don't really care that much. But also, these things, they're short-term fluctuations, like the performance of a company and their products and services, unless these types of things are going to fundamentally change that. It doesn't really bother me because I don't trade macro. You know, like I don't go, oh, currency pairs. Let me feel my crystal ball. You know, what's the euro going to do today? Is it going to jump up by 0.2%? Should I invest in euro versus the pound? I don't play that. I don't do that because I don't understand it, probably because I'm too dumb. I just invest in companies that I do understand. But maybe some other stuff. Yeah, sound is perfect. Thank you very much. So it's weird because when I do a live, I have to change like everything in the settings of my camera, the microphone, and like I have to remember to do all of them. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I forgot something. And if I don't change it, it comes out real bad because the stuff that's good in a normal video, in like a higher quality and stuff like that, it comes out really bad in the live. So I'm still learning this. I think I'm getting there, but obviously I can't use. So normally I film in something called a log file when I record, and then if you're hearing some meowing, it's my cat. Apologies, but I film in log, and my log files are basically like gray. In fact, let me show you. For anyone who cares, it's not very interesting, but this is what a log file looks like. I've broken it. I'm not going to bother. Let's look at stocks. Okay. The things seem to be going well. I kind of feel like this is a good place to probably cut it. But if anyone's interested, like, have I got any questions that I haven't answered? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that's probably a good place to end. I've got one video that I need to edit, another video I need to film and then edit. So watch out for those. The next one that's coming up on my main channel is going to be some interesting announcements for anyone interested. Probably the most people who are watching have no interest whatsoever. So skip that one and watch the next one after that. So we'll end it there while everything's going good, while Tesla's up, while everything. The moment I switch it off, everything's going to collapse, obviously. So thank you very much for watching. And as always, I will see you guys later.